except there it is. Okay. So now, hopefully you can see, and I'll just go ahead and put that onto my tabletop and we'll jump right into this. Um, what I've got for us today is this is going to be similar to that thing that I called a day in my life, but it's going to be diversity in my life. And we're going to do an art project that can be used as an art piece in and of itself, but also it could be um, like something that's a springboard to jumpstart you into, or a planning board for a full-blown piece of art similar to the piece that the creator of our flyer for today's class found, because that was a beautiful piece of artwork. And you could use this for planning what all is going to go into something like that. Or like I said, this could just be your artwork. And we're going to do this really quick because then we're going to allow some time for everybody to share on their own idea of diversity in their life and around them. And so the first thing I want you to do is get your piece of paper. I've got a 9 by 12 just piece of paper. This project, though, today can be done on any kind of paper you have, because we're not going to get a whole lot of water on it. I'm going to use my ruler to go ahead and divide this off into like squares. I'm going to sort of grid it, and I think I'll make it into thirds. So I'm just going to lightly score this with a pencil, and I'm just kind of eyeballing it. I'm not measuring because it doesn't need to be exact, although a straight line would probably be good. um, and let's see, I'm going to kind of decide that's the middle right there, divide that. You can make as many squares or as few squares on your piece as you want, but a lot of squares in here gives you room for a lot of different little thumbnail sketches, and that's what we're going to be creating. And I think the more stuff I have in here, the more unique and interesting this final piece will be. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a black pen. You can use a permanent marker or a felt tip marker, a Sharpie pen, anything you have. And I'm just going to make squares right in here because I'm going to draw in these squares. And this is going to be kind of a glorified stick figure project. So if you're one of those people that wants to say to me, oh, I can't even draw a stick figure, this project is perfect for you because you're going to learn how to draw stick figures. So just get your paper prepared by doing something like this. And the reason I don't draw these squares with my ruler is because I like them to have a little bit of character to them. They're sort of imperfect. We talked last month about how imperfections in our lines and things can be more beautiful. And in this case, I think that's even more so, more accurate, because a thing can be too static, too mechanized, or look too mass manufactured. It won't look hand drawn, and the hand drawn I think is very pretty. So just about got this on here. Now I've got all these different squares on here because there's going to be a variety of images in this piece of artwork, just like there's a variety of diversity around us. Okay, I'm finished with mine. Hopefully most everyone else is finished with theirs. And I'm going to keep moving so that we have time for everyone that wants to share later can. Now, I was thinking, um, where is all the diversity in my life, especially on a day-to-day basis? Where do I find evidence of diversity. Excuse me, I just got a hair sticking where it's not supposed to be, and it's bothering me. Um, so, one of the things that came up to me, to my mind, sorry, I think I finally found that hair. um, I got a bunch of flyaways today. One of the things is um, I have neighbors from different countries. For example, sorry, did you ever have a hair just bothering you? Well, there's one right now. I got a demon hair. I got to find it and pull it out because it keeps getting in my mouth.
And there's some diversity for you, a demon hair.
Yeah. Okay. Hopefully, I thought I pulled all my hair back ahead of time and it wasn't going to bother me today. But anyway, um, one of my neighbors is from Cuba, and she the other week found out that my husband likes what he insists on calling flan, and so she was telling us about how she makes homemade flan, and that if we'll call it flan, she'll make us some. So she showed up at the door one day with a beautiful plate of homemade flan. And it was so good. It was so much better than anything we get in any restaurant. And so I'm going to just draw a picture of my neighbor Lucy. And let's see. This is her smiling face. And she wears glasses. So I'm going to put some glasses on her. And she has cute curly hair. So there's her hair. And here's her shoulders. And you guys can't even see it good, can you? Does that help a little? That does. So she showed up. Now, how am I going to figure out how to do this? She brought this big platter with this beautiful flan on it that she had made, homemade for us. Now I got to figure out how to put her arms on here. Now this doesn't matter that it's not perfectly drawn to perspective. It really doesn't. The point is, my neighbor brought me some flan. She just reached out. Her neck looks nicer than that in real life. There we go. She just reached out to be friendly, to share something that is a special part of her life, and to share that with us. And so that's one way that I have diversity in my life, is through my neighbors. And it reminded me, several years ago, I lived in a condo. Well, no, I take it back. It was a townhouse. And I had neighbors who were from Colombia and the Dominican Republic. The wife was from uh, Colombia, and her name was Marta. And she was super friendly, but she had lived over here for 10 years and didn't speak a word of English. And I was trying to learn Spanish so that I could communicate with Marta, so that we could share, because we wanted to share with each other. We just felt that pull towards each other, but we couldn't really communicate because of different languages. So she was trying to learn English and I was trying to learn Spanish. And we each had teenage daughters who were much better at this learning other languages than we were. And they were helping kind of uh, be our communication line. And at the time, I was learning to play Irish fiddle, and I would practice late at night. And it dawned on me once they moved in, because this was a new community and there was like no neighbors in there when we first moved in for 6 months. And then this family moved in next door, and another family moved in on the other side, um, and we started noticing thumps and bumps and knocks and things like that. And I thought, wow, I wonder if I'm disturbing them when I practice my violin late at night. So I uh, had my daughter find out how for me to say to Marta in Spanish, I hope that I'm not disturbing you when I play my violin late at night. Will you please let me know if it's making too much noise, and I'll find a different time to practice. Although really I wouldn't have had a different time, but anyhow, I thought I had learned how to say that in Spanish. So I went in and I said that to Marta, and she got this really strange look on her face. And I thought, oh no, what have I done wrong? And here she thought I had asked her, would she come over at midnight that night and listen to me play violin? so so I've always remembered that. I thought it was funny, and so my violin makes me think of my Colombian neighbor and friend, Marta. So I'm going to just draw my violin here, and I'm not really getting it right because I don't have it right in front of me, but this is close. So I put my violin, and then I'm going to put, to show that it's nighttime, I'm going to put a moon in the sky and some stars. From where Marta thought that I wanted her to come over at midnight and listen to me play my violin. My moon is too small. Let me make it bigger. It's too small in relation to those stars. Okay, so that's that. Then uh, what else? I am originally from Texas, and in Texas, we call Texas a whole other country. Um, that's been a slogan for that state for as long as I can remember. But there are things about Texas, like Tex Mex food. Um, I learned to make enchiladas, and in fact, it was just Cinco de Mayo. And for that, I made up several big dishes, baking dishes full of homemade enchiladas. I can't draw enchiladas very good, but I can draw tacos. So I'm going to just draw some tacos here and put some, I'll put the right color or something on there so that'll look more like a, a taco that we would like to eat. There's some tomato and some lettuce and cheese on the top of there, and I'll doctor that with color in a minute. So there's my tacos, and I'm going to put the colors of the Mexican flag right there. And what that reminds me of is that there's a lot of countries that use red, white, and green as their colors. A lot of Latin American countries, and of course Mexico, and even Italy. So that is a thing that we have in common, even though we're all different and unique. A lot of You can find a lot of red, green, and white in that. And I'm going to just pick this square right here, and I'm just going to put those colors in some stripes right there. And now I've got a lot of stuff going here. I think I will go ahead and put another thing from that I have a connection with is Native American ancestry. I have cousins who have more Native American blood in them, I guess you could call it, than I do, but I have some, and so there's some unique and pretty symbols that go along with that, and I'm going to just put something in here to just kind of make a little display of that. And on top of that, I'm going to put a cactus symbol because that's going to be in a lot of stuff from out west, which to me is where a lot of that stuff is. And now let's see. I'm not going to go ahead and put a wolf in there because I don't want to take the time to draw that, but you see that a lot in those type of symbols. I could put a big star, but I'm going to leave that out. One thing that I would like to talk about just a little bit is that sometimes, if we're not careful, our differences we can allow them to divide us. So I have learned to make a conscious effort not to let differences divide me from people. And sometimes that's easy and sometimes it's hard. For example, one time I was shopping in a department store here in Coconut Creek, and I found a beautiful little uh, metal sculpture from my garden. It was a windmill, and not the kind that we see everywhere. These big ones that are making the power for the country right now. Not those, but the little the the little what do you call it? It's something that just looks like, I don't quite have it exactly right because I can't get the bend in it, but it's looking like this.
Windmill.
Yes, it's a windmill. It's not a wind turbine, it's a windmill. There, that's a little bit better for how it looks. And that, there might be a cactus in the background of that too. But this is something I would see both in Texas, and I lived for a while in South Louisiana, and that would be part of the landscape there. And I found this little yard decoration, and it was so great. It was on the clearance department rack, and so I grabbed it up, and I was happy about it. And I went to the register, and the cashier said, "What is this?" And I said, "It's yard art. Isn't it so great? I'm originally from Texas, and this is just going to be perfect for my yard." She said, "What?" And I said, "I'm originally from Texas." And she looked at me and she said, "Oh, I'm sorry for you." And I thought, why did you say that? I didn't say anything to her, but it just really threw a wet blanket on my exuberance and happiness at having found this windmill, because someone said something rude to me, um, because she didn't like that I was from Texas. Well, this is the thing. We do have differences, and how they affect us, we're in charge of that. And even when someone says something rude to me about something that's different from them, I don't have to let that ruin my day. I brought that thing home and I put it in my garden, and it looks great. And my next door neighbors, a week later, came over and told me how great it was. They loved it. It was beautiful. Now they're from Ohio. They're not from Texas. They just liked that I had put that in my yard, and that restored me to thinking, yes, we can all be diverse and we can enjoy each other's differences because we choose to. So that reminds me of a little saying when I was a kid about sticks and stones. Uh, can break my bones, but names will never hurt me. Okay, we choose how we respond to things, and so I choose to take all of the differences, whether it be in food or music or even politics or religion, take all those in a way that I look for the good in them and see how they can add to the picture that is my world that I live in and make it more beautiful. So I'm going to just draw something that's going to resemble sticks and stones right here, because that's part of the diversity, or it can be. And it's important, I think, to know how to respond or react to things properly. So I'm just going to put that in there as part of my picture. And I'll finish that out later, because I do want to add, let's see, I'm going to put some Celtic symbol in here. I love to play Celtic fiddle. And if you look at music in our world, we've got music that's reggae and uh, Latin, and there's Irish fiddle music, there's bluegrass music, there's so much diversity in the music that is around us. So you can find a lot of interesting and fun things if you open up yourself and allow yourself to enjoy a lot of different um, musical influences. So, um, to that end, I'm going to draw a quick little Celtic knot here. just by putting these little dots on here. And I'm going to zoom in again so you can see, hopefully see this. Let's see, maybe I can zoom in even further. Yeah, okay. How I'm going to draw this Celtic knot is I made a ring of dots, and then I put another one outside. In between these two dots, I put a dot there, and in between these two, I put a dot there. Now I'm going to make a line that connects these. Now I'm going to make, I'm going to put a little curve. Let's see, how does that go? That goes back to, maybe I shouldn't have tried to do this. If I can't figure it out, I'll look it up while you guys are talking and I'll get it right. Okay, then I need this one that goes here, here, here.
Christine, while you do that, may I real quickly say something?
Yes.
Guys, I think the picture you're talking about, I didn't understand at first. That picture was actually something that they found to show diversity, not what we were doing. So if you look above the picture, it says something about we're drawing diversity today, and that was just to show a face that has different diverse pieces to it. People were asking Christine about the face, and I finally realized it was in the flyer that came out.
Okay, yeah, that was not my artwork. We can't, I can't lead you in a class copying someone else's artwork. That was a piece that someone that creates the flyers found and used to advertise the class. And it was very beautiful. And that's why I said that you could take this piece that we're doing and use this as a storyboard or a planning session, because I have that in mind to do. I was inspired by that face picture, and I'm just going to look at all these things that I'm putting together here, these examples of diversity in my life. And I can, after I kind of define what a lot of the different um, parts would be, then I can get another piece of paper out and start trying to combine these different things into one whole. I could choose a house or a face or anything like that that I might want to do, and then use these elements as part of creating that other picture, that one whole. So you can be there's lots of ways to be very creative about this. But in the time that we had today, and in order to not be copying someone else's art, this is the best way that I think that we could jump into this. You're very welcome to not grid off your paper and just make one piece and go straight into that if that's what you prefer. So there's that. Anyway, I guess I can just keep drawing, and we are right about at that half an hour. So, Julie, if you want to open it up for people to share what they have, or any questions, any more questions, anything like that, is this a good time to jump into that?
Yes, this would be a good time. You could keep yourself muted, but ask questions in the chat. And just to further clarify what Jackie and Christine had said, the picture was to show you how you could be diverse in your creativity, in your drawings, and in your artwork. The creativity, like we talked about in the last class, could even have been something like on the sea grape leaves that Jackie showed us, or the palm, whatnot. You could have done it on anything, and you still can today. I, for one, am just playing around with my son's girlfriend is from Korea. My son has a very strong background from Israel, and they live in the United States. So I'm taking the flower of Korea, the national flower of Korea, Israel, and the United States, and making a floral piece. That's going to be my artwork. So that's what we're talking about, creative and diversity. But if you have questions, Sarah, you have your hand raised. Did you write
Yeah.
anything in the chat?
No, no, I'm on my
Okay.
cell and I'm not sure how
Okay.
to do it. That's why I raised my
Okay.
hand. So can you do a small picture of diversity? Like I started doing circles and I was going to paint it and make different faces. So
Yes,
Yes.
can it be just, it can be your own creation?
Yes.
that's what we're asking for. This was the beginning to get us started. And now we're asking for you to make your own creations. Like Christine was saying, these are the things that are happening around her and how she would take her artwork. So Sarah, do you want to say what are you thinking of? What would you
Well,
like to put on your?
I just drew lots of circles, very much like, I can't think of his name right, an artist who painted diversity of all different religions, all different people. I can't think of his name right now, I'm sorry. So I'm doing lots of circle. They actually look like pebbles now, and I'm coloring them in different colors, and I'm doing facial diversities, like how different people look.
Yes, I think that sounds really wonderful.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I'll continue with that.
Keep going in that direction if you want to show us. Jackie, I don't know if you have your picture close by. If you,
I was going to show you, Sarah, did you see this
Yes.
from last time? That's exactly what I did, your religion. So I think that's a wonderful idea. I mean, everybody's feeling of diversity is going to be different, whether Christine talked about food or our backgrounds or our neighbors or whatever it is. I just started doing like Christine's doing, and I realized I live across the street from the school. So I've got a baseball bat and a glove in there, and people walking because so many people walk on our street. So it's whatever you feel like makes you diverse and your neighbors diverse.
Okay. Thank you.
thanks, Sarah. Yeah, good.
I don't know how to not raise my hand.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions? Okay. So Christine, I'm coming back to you.
Okay. I'll put the spotlight back on and I'll start adding color to what I've got going here. Just to show you how something like this can end up being really very pretty. I'm going to use a little bit of watercolor, and then I've got my markers and things all spread out ready to go up there. But this is a perfect project for you to do with colored pencils or markers or whatever you happen to have on hand, because you can just do this anywhere. It doesn't necessarily need to be watercolor paper. But I'm going to start out with just putting some bright color on here. Oops, I got out of line a little bit. So let me clean that off there. But this can be all the different ways that we are different, juxtaposed with all the different ways that we are the same. And that's, I think, a really good way to look at diversity.
Right. You might want to, I'm just thinking out loud because creativity comes from within, but you might be drawing a person, but you might also want to draw the costume of the country that they're from, or put the flower of their country in the hat that you draw on their head. Things like that. Like Jackie used the coconut to draw the Jewish person that lived next door to her and the Hindu person that lived on the other side of her. And who was the other person, Jackie? And you did all the symbols into one, and it looks so beautiful on the coconut.
And a Christian. So it's a very diverse neighborhood.
Yeah. It could be the foods that you like to eat from the various countries. If anybody else has another idea, that would be so wonderful. If you could write it in the chat, or we'll call on you.
You know, you mentioned flowers of different countries. Just flowers by itself is is a thing that we all have in common. Almost everyone likes to go walk in the garden and see the beautiful flowers. And yet, look at how many different flowers there are. And it's kind of cool that there are different flowers that are chosen to be representative of different countries. Even each different state has its own flower, or birds, any of that kind of stuff. There's just a lot of ways we can find diversity when we're looking for it and appreciate it and celebrate it. And
So
I think
true.
that helps us to be drawn together instead of isolating and separating us. It's almost like it's a celebration of our differences.
Mhm. It's so true. Jackie, if you don't mind me saying, because it's in the chat, Jackie's sister, Barbara, who attends our classes, she lives in Pennsylvania close to the Amish, and she's drawing a horse and buggy and quilts to represent what is around her. So that's wonderful.
It's very cool.
And Marianne said she's drawing symbols from different countries, which is great. I thought about flags, but I thought they were kind of hard. But one of the things I wrote in my box, even though I'm not going to paint it, is I tried to draw two hands, because when you think about it, we're all in this together.
Mm-hmm.
In so many ways, we're alike. So let's reach out to each other and make it we're all in this together.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I like that, Jackie. I like the bright colors of the flag, Jackie, of Christine, rather.
Thank you. I guess while I'm not talking, I can put the close up on so we can see. I'm just throwing stuff out there that have influenced me or have meaning to me in my travels and I've visited a lot of places, and I've lived in several different states in the United States, and it's cool even just to see the diversity in the United States. But when you think about how big the world is and all of the different ways people have responded to their surroundings, and um, it's pretty cool.
Well, and I think often we don't realize, or maybe what I should say is others don't realize the impact they have on us. Something when you move into a new neighborhood and it's very different, like the one that I'm in, so many things you learn from other people, and often they take it every day for granted, but it's not for granted for you. It's something new to learn.
Mm-hmm. I never did learn to speak Spanish very well, but I have learned a lot about Spanish culture and learned that uh, the different Spanish speaking countries are not, they have different dialects, they have different foods. They're not all the same just because they're all Spanish speaking. It's really cool to learn just how diverse and different uh, the communities can be, even among all of the English speaking countries, among all of the Spanish speaking. There's just a lot of diversity. And for me, I love it. I think it is beautiful. I just love to learn about new things. Learn. I learned how, because we made some friends that are from India. When we lived in Dallas, Texas, we met a family that is from India, and we learned how to make this really cool flatbread from them. And then they had us over for a meal, and they had some friends over. Their friends were not on board yet with the whole diversity and mixing people and cultures together and all that, and their friends tried to kind of offend us, but our friends had already advised us not to be surprised by the fact that this particular meal that they served, which was very traditional Indian, and I apologize, I can't remember the name of it, but it is typically eaten with your hands. And it was a really, it was not like tacos. It was like chicken and waffles or something like that, but it was not that. But something with a lot of meat and gravy and really messy. And so they're eating this very messy food with their hands, but it was a traditional thing. And so we were expecting, because they told us about it, and it ended up being really very fun. And we learned a thing about Indian tradition. And so, and the way we learned about it really stuck with us, so it was cool.
It sounds cool. Um, Christine, last time we did the 10 days of connection, it was in person, and we did masks. That was our art project, masks of various countries, and
Uh-huh.
people chose the countries and they decorated their masks, and we had food. We also had lunch that day together, foods from different countries, and it was wonderful. And we had a lot of artists join together and a lot of food from so many different places. It was a very fun afternoon. So I'd like to do that again as soon as we all meet in
Sounds fun.
person.
And
I also wanted
we
to
all got
ask,
to eat. so
yes,
so different
and it's
foods are a
nice,
fun thing to share too.
yes, and to learn about cultures through our food choices.
Hmm.
And our food customs. I have a question for you, Jackie, separate from this. I'm getting some questions as to what we'll be doing on May 21st, since we're doing these boxes right now. What kind of ink sketches will we be doing on the May 21st meetup?
Is that for me or for Jackie?
Yeah, that's for you, Christine.
Okay, I
I'm
thought
sorry,
so.
did I say, if I said Jackie?
You did, but that's okay. We will be doing something very similar to this, but probably with more instruction. I can be a little bit more in depth here. I just did a hurry up, quick, fast thing because I wanted to let it be more about the diversity than about uh, the actual sketches and stuff.
So
Uh,
you'll be
and
instructing on
it'll
this,
Yeah,
you'll be
and we'll
instructing on
be
the
doing.
sketches.
Yes, we'll either pick a theme that we all do the same thing, or everyone can pick their own theme, because it is, you're doing your own sketches still, but there'll be some things that are the same, and so I'll be giving you a little bit of. We'll take our time with it and do more specific sketching and how to put together this thing that I call a day in my life.
Okay, I think that would be good because we all need help with the drawing of the sketches too. So, okay.
So does anyone else have any um, thing they want to share?
Yeah, if you want to show what you're working on, just put it in the chat and then we can ask you to hold it up. We're a quiet group, which means that everybody's in thought and working hard.
That's good.
Or there was so much talk about food, everybody got a snack.
Yeah.
I need a snack. I didn't talk that much about music, but music is a big cultural influence as well, if you think about it.
Definitely is.
I'm just throwing some color out here right now into this piece, and then I'm going to start putting some detail in with my markers and ink pens.
It seems like you've used very little water because your colors are so vibrant. Yeah.
That is true. I didn't add a lot of water to this. That is one of the cool things to learn about watercolor, is that the way you control the lightness and darkness is not by adding white or black, but by adding more or less water. And once you get that point down into your brain and into your to your muscle memory or whatever, in your hand, um, then it really lets you take off on your watercolor paintings. I think I'll add the dark on there with my markers. Put a little bit of color in that moon. Right now it sort of looks like a banana. I didn't mean to paint a banana in the sky. I'm going to have to let the stars go. If I paint them right now, their color will run together, like this did right down here. So I think I'll put the brush down and start coloring with markers a little bit here. I'm going to put some brown on the top of this stuff that I still really want to call flan, but because I met my neighbor who told me that it's really flan, I guess I have to call it flan. Whatever it's called, it sure tasted good. And remember, you can do all of this with whatever medium you want to use, whether you're using paint or acrylic paint, watercolor paint, colored pencils, markers, whatever you want to use. Or, like I'm doing, a little bit of everything.
I just have to put in a little plug for our library too, because talk about diversity in our daily life. A lot of us use the library, and it's wonderful that we have our community library so close to us, and we really have become a community at the library with so many friends. And that's really nice to see when we go to the library, how we've all come to know each other, have met each other and attended classes together, whether it's on Zoom or in person before the pandemic. And that has created a lot of diversity too, because we have so many friends from all over, speak so many languages, And it's a wonderful way to meet the diversity that's in our community. So thanks everybody for continuing to attend our programs and support the Friends. Your pictures are looking so nice, Christine.
Thank you. I'm hoping everyone else is getting some things drawn that they're willing to share, because I'd like to see some other projects, how it's going. Let's see, I'm going to put this right on here just because I'm curious and want to see how everyone else interpreted the diversity in their life onto paper. And a little sneak preview of what we'll talk about next session involves the fact that your artwork does not need to be um, realistic or professionally drawn or anything, just a bunch of quick sketches, but then we're putting color and ink on them, and they take on a new life and become something really beautiful, especially when you do them a whole bunch in one page like this. That's some of what we'll be talking about next class.
Christine, for the next class, do you recommend like a permanent ink or alcohol inks or a certain?
Well, again, you can really use whatever you prefer with this, because you see, I'm not using a whole lot of water. There's just, if you're painting in a small thing like that, you don't really have time to do a big, really super wet wash. Although this was plenty wet, and this was, but it's not going to make your paper buckle as much. So mixed media paper, or you could even paint this on a piece of cardstock if you wanted to. Watercolor paper is great for it, so that you can get moisture on it if you want to. Um, And I've got a variety of markers here. And let's see, this over here would be a good one to show you why the difference in waterproof or not, well, water soluble, waterproof or water soluble. These lines that I'm drawing on here, these are with, this pen is waterproof. This pen is not waterproof. So I'm putting this on here, some of these lines, and these are going to be rocks. So I've got some of my marks. I can now take a little bit of water on my paintbrush and just start smearing some of these. Maybe I need a little more water than that. The waterproof, oh no, it's not going to do it. The waterproof marker won't spread. The water soluble marker, typically this one will go all over everywhere. I can get some shadow happening or some shading just by using a little bit of moisture on my brush. Does not want to happen too much with the water. Let me try with my blending pen. Okay, you see how that's spreading there?
Yes.
Get some color and some shadow with it. Let me zoom in. I'm getting some moving around of the color with that. It doesn't happen so much with this up here where I used, that's probably coming out of the marker, where I used the waterproof pen, and it's totally making a liar out of me here. But ideally, you don't want if you put a lot of water on a line that you've made with a not waterproof marker, you can then put water on it to go and paint your drawing, and oops, it.
Christine, I think you might have muted yourself.
I got a message all of a sudden that said the host has muted you. And I was just trying to figure out what is going on there when I got your message, Jackie. But anyway, so what I was just saying is that you want to pay
So
attention.
sorry, I accidentally did it, Jackie. I'm so sorry.
I thought, well, you don't want to hear this? No. You have to watch, because if you don't want your lines to smear, you need to make sure you're using the waterproof thing. Otherwise, if you use a not waterproof marker and you put your drawing on there and then you go to paint color in it, your black lines are going to smudge and smear all over. Let's see if I can do something that'll make that obvious. Let's just try this right here on my Celtic knot that I got. I did manage to get this drawn while we were talking. Almost crashed and burned on it, but I got it done. So here's my nice Celtic knot, and I'm just drawing it with a marker that is not waterproof. And there are many Celtic knot artists that have a conniption fit that I just called that a Celtic knot because I did it in a hurry and I didn't attempt to get it all nice and even. Most Celtic knots are going to be a whole lot more even and pretty than that. Now I'm just going to put some color on here, and I'm starting to do a background and a little bit of color, and of course it's not smearing. Normally this color would just be running all over everywhere when I put this paint on here. And I don't think I can have a Celtic knot without some green color in it. So let's put that green. But anyway, I don't know why it's not smearing today. Every other time I've done this, if I don't pay attention and I go put water all over my not waterproof markers, uh, the black smears all over everything, which can be cool if you want to be adding some shadow or some dark color or some shape to it. But if you didn't want that to happen, it can mess up your picture. So that's the only um, consideration when you're deciding what materials to use to do this artwork with. And I just layered some yellow in right on top of those other colors. It's like making an underglaze, an underpainting or something, because you can see the other color through the yellow. And I like how it looks. So that's my pretty Celtic knot right there. I'm going to go back to painting this and just put some dark colors through here. So I'm painting these sticks and stones, but I am making them look pretty. At least I think I am.
It looks really nice. I love all the colors of your boxes, and it's cool to see how you paint the stones, the sticks. I was waiting for this one.
Oh, okay. So let me zoom in so you can see it better. I think I actually see a bit more variety on my in-person thing here, but I got enough showing, I think, in the camera there. Oh, that came out good. A little bit more of this bright color right here. That might be a little too much. Yeah, that looks good. And let's see here, a little bit more of this right up here. Gotta bring it down to the, one thing I forget to do is get all the way down to the edge in my little boxes here. When I'm finished with this, I'll erase my pencil lines that I initially drew for my guides. And that'll look really nice. I like my rocks to have some pizzazz to them, so I put a lot of color in them.
Are we able to speak?
Yes, Maria, that's so nice.
Marianne.
Oh, Marianne, I'm sorry.
It's okay. I just have my initials, so it's okay.
Very nice.
Very nice. Oh,
Do you want to talk about yours? I'd love to hear what
Well,
you chose.
I've traveled around the world, and these are things that are besides that. I'm from New York City, so that's the Big Apple. And the first places I traveled to was China and Russia. I just recently visited Africa. I am Italian, and we did go to see the Moys at Easter Island. I had a wonderful time in Paris, and I did visit Australia. I love cactus. I've been to Ireland, and I like bluegrass music.
Oh, I love that.
Very good.
Fantastic.
Hey, Marianne, will you hold that back up for just a second and let me take a picture and talk about it so I can get a good picture of it?
Okay, if I talk about it, then it stays on the screen, right?
Right. Okay,
Anyway,
hang on. I'm doing it now.
let me talk about it some more. You have to stop talking too. But I've been to all of these places. I mean, there's lots more, but I think this represents a good amount of my history and where I've been and who I am. Are you done yet? Tell me when.
Got it. Got it.
Very cool. I like it. Anyone else?
Anyone else care to share?
Well, I just got really silly with mine and did my neighborhood, and that we're all in this together. I'm a photographer, which live by the high school. I love my lizards. My neighbors make naan all the time. We love our library and Julie. Sorry, Julie, I didn't have the right red. I just made you kind of orange.
Pretty cool.
Hold it up. I want to get a picture. Let's see.
Wait a minute, totally silly.
Love it. Oh, those lizards. No, I'm not a fan. I got to be honest. But you know what? They're loving this weather because they're out sunbathing now all around my house.
I love them. Anybody else?
I didn't paint
Julie,
mine
what'd
yet.
you do?
Well, I have been practicing my flowers. No, it's not even, I want to actually really paint them, but I was just drawing just so that I could paint.
In your mirror. Talk about it, Julie.
The rose is the flower of the United States. And then an anemone is the flower of Israel. Wait a minute, let me see. It kind of looks like a pansy, but the colored ones are the anemones. And a hibiscus is the color of Korea, but I did not finish that one yet. So, but I'm going to put them all together in a floral painting on canvas. And I've just been playing around with my.
Diane, why don't you talk about yours and hold it up?
I haven't painted it. I'm just drawing into it. I don't know if I can see it. Where is it? I haven't really finished it. I can't even see it wherever it is.
Yeah.
What do I
See a
push?
butterfly.
My diversity is the things around my yard, my neighborhood. I have turtles and growing bananas and those great big lizards and different kinds of flowers and a monarch caterpillar. All those things are around my lake and my house, and just different flowers, mangoes from the tree, and different butterflies. So I was just trying to, and there was a big snake. All these things that have been absent for a long time in our neighborhood are slowly coming back. And I really don't know the reason why, but I'm glad they're there. So, a little bit of diversity of my home. Let's put it that way.
Sounds good, Diane. Anybody else?
Got a lot of people who aren't showing their stuff. If I
Yeah.
showed my silliness, you guys can show yours. I mean,
Oh,
you
but
can't
yours-
get much sillier than what I drew.
I love
Yeah,
that.
but yours is good.
Oh, Barbara's still on. Okay, Barbara.
I haven't actually gotten past 4. I put 6 blocks on mine, and the top, this one here on this side, it's a payphone, which you don't ever see anymore, and a cell phone on the bottom. And here is a covered bridge because I live in a Amish neighborhood, and this is the steel bridge over the Susquehanna River. And then my last 2 blocks are going to have a car and an Amish buggy on them, but I haven't quite gotten there yet.
That's great.
Looks great. There's no point in rushing.
Well, I got a late start, sorry.
That's okay.
It's looking
okay.
good.
Rick's really
Jen
good.
or let's see, who else is on there? Ann or Kathy or Jen? Any of you guys want to share?
Mercedes.
Mercedes.
No, thank you.
Aw, come
Oh,
on.
come
let's see.
on.
No, I haven't done anything really. If you see, it's just the squares, only squares.
Okay.
Believe me. And the Celtic knot.
Oh, you tried that.
Yeah,
Was it fun or
I love
frustrating?
Mhm.
I'm not very far yet, and I am just sketching very lightly. So far, I haven't drawn enough elements or even started with color yet, but I basically trying to do a person and then things not in perspective as far as size with just all the elements around instead of drawing the little boxes. I felt like that's more dividing all the elements. So I just have them not in perspective, but just like overlapping. So,
Okay.
but I
Well-
like the idea of flowers, and that's one of the things, Julie, that I have in mind too. So,
Oh, good. We can share together next time.
okay, we'll see if I get very far on it.
I like your idea about the boxes dividing us. That's kind of an interesting take. I hadn't thought about that, but you have
No.
a point. I like that.
Yeah. Anybody else? We can keep going, or if you want to just work on your own, it's really up to you. You could write in the chat if you want to stay on, we can, or we can leave and you can work on it. But for next class, come prepared with your ink pens. And Christine, what else would they need besides their ink pens to do our May 21st class?
You can see in this one, I've used pencil, I've used markers, I've used watercolor paint. You could use all markers. You could use all colored pencils. You can actually do this on a canvas and use acrylics. So this is one that can be somewhat of a free-for-all. But what we're just going to do is something along these lines, and there'll be more. Of the how to draw the different some little tricks for when you're like when you want to draw a violin, or when you want to draw a person, just some little tricks to make it easier, so that it's, instead of being frustrating, that it is a relaxing thing you can do to just kind of um, chill out and de-stress, and yet at the same time create something that when it's done, your overall finished piece is a really unique and beautiful piece of artwork. And then whether you make it something to put in a frame and hang in the wall, or do this on a greeting card size piece of paper, anything like that. So make it what is simple and fun for you, and know that that we're gonna be using a little bit of variety of everything.
Okay.
Christine, may
Thank you.
I? One time when we were doing the sailboat, I got behind doing something else. And so I didn't do the picture with everybody else. And I did basically what you're talking about with there. So far, that's all I have on there is 6, but each one of these is a completely different medium, from pencil to pens to watercolor. I know it's all the same picture, and that's not what you're talking about, but it really is a lot of fun to try different kinds of mediums and see what you can get out of them and sketch like that. I love that idea.
It
Can you
is a
hold that
great
up?
idea.
Yeah, I like that. I want to see it up close. Wait, hold on. Oh,
Okay, I'll talk for just a second. It was the day we did this, it was the day we did the sailboat, and Julie had me doing something else. And so I got behind from everybody. So instead of trying to do a big one and follow along with Christine, I just divided it up and pulled out everything I had for that moment. So it really is a lot of fun. And it makes you realize what kind of supplies you have and what you can do with them.
Yeah.
And whether you like them or not.
That's true too. The difference is in the different mediums, how they function and how they look doing the same piece. It's almost like an exercise, and yet if you look at that piece that Jackie was just showing us, that would look really nice in a frame. I think it would. I could see putting that in a frame, even though it is the same, very similar to the same exact drawing, but with all those different mediums, it's a different take on everything. And that's why I said we could do this as a themed piece. Excuse me. We could pick a theme, whether it's a sailboat or a flower or whatever, and we could do every different picture in each different box with a different set of colors. Same piece, maybe even the same medium, but just 3 different colors for this one and 3, like, okay, I don't know how we draw tacos with different colors, but maybe that could work. But, the same thing over and over, created with different colors, can make a really unique and beautiful piece. And it may seem like an exercise or come across like I'm telling you to do, we're going to do an exercise, but it becomes a fun piece of art that we're working on once you get into it, and it doesn't feel like an exercise anymore. It feels like fun.
Yeah, but I thought the same thing, Christine. Jackie, I thought you could hang that picture, your artwork, just as is. I would love a picture like that, hanging in the house, because it just looks so cool like that.
Well, and it's fun too, Christine. One of the things, I'm taking a class tomorrow where we're only going to be allowed to use 3 colors, which I love, because it teaches you color theory. All you can do is mix any color you want from that. And if we did the same thing, like the flower, but we did it with different colors, it's amazing sometimes what works, the contiguous colors and the complementary colors, what doesn't work. I think and sometimes you think something's going to look a certain way and it just doesn't. I really like that. And I think it's fun too. I agree with you guys.
Oh, really? Yeah. Okay.
Jackie, I love that challenge of just using 3 colors. My daughter, in one of her art classes, in one of the sessions, they had to paint only in white. And so it makes you aware of all the different shades and hues, the different ways you can make whites and everything and all. And she painted some incredible flowers in that one, but it was all whites. It was beautiful.
That sounds pretty cool.
An idea I've never tried, but 3 colors, that might be a little bit easier to deal with than just whites.
Well, it's called a triad, and you can, if you experiment with it a little bit, you'll be amazed at how you can actually create every color you need out of just 3 different colors. If you have like a blue, a yellow, and a red, and it doesn't have to be your standard. You could use like burnt sienna. It's kind of a reddish brown. You could use that for your red. You could even use that for your yellow. If you have a bright magenta and a burnt sienna and like a phthalo blue, or which is like a turquoise color, and that could be your 3 colors, and you can paint a whole scene with just those three colors, and you mix the way you mix them together, you get every color you need, and it's beautiful.
I've continued to paint, and I put like the flag behind Paris and Italy and Africa.
Very nice.
I
like
noticed that. Looks beautiful, really does.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody have any comments or anything they want to say? Because we could really end this now, and we'll see you again on May 21st for the sketch and watercolor class. Okay. I think this has been, thank you so much for participating in these 10 days of diversity and for getting creative with us. I think it's been a really great program and just a lot of food for thought as we are creating our art in the future, that there is diversity all around us, and it really helps you hone in on all the things around us that we just take for granted. But if we really open our eyes and see, there's so much around us that, like we've been saying, is different perhaps, but also very similar. So I like being more in tune with my surroundings, and that's how I feel this day has made me feel with the art.
I think it's opened your eyes and your hearts.
I think so too, Jackie. Mm-hmm.
And speaking of hearts, I bet you every one of you except me is a mother. So happy Mother's Day, ladies.
Yes, happy Mother's Day to all. Happy Mother's Day. Have a wonderful weekend. So, okay, everyone, I'll see you in 2 weeks. We'll all be together again. And thank you so much. Thanks. This was really fun. Bye, all.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.
I love to watch people start dropping off little by little.
I know.
So, Chris, I'll see if it was really strange last time how it recorded, because I was recording the whole time. But when you ask about that, Christine, it didn't save. It always saves on my computer. So I have no idea what happened, but I won't do anything with it until I know for sure this time you have your recording. Because I always record to the computer, and that's really easy to share with you.
Yeah. Well, mine says I'm recording. What happened the last time, I don't know.